In the heart of a seemingly idyllic suburban enclave, a white neighbor's frantic 911 call over the disturbing noise from a black family's wedding celebration spiraled into chaos, only for the arriving officers to freeze in disbelief when they realized the groom, decked out in his tuxedo amid the festivities, was none other than the city's own mayor, exposing deep-seated tensions that no one saw coming. The incident unfolded on a crisp Saturday afternoon in the upscale neighborhood of Willow Creek Estates, where families had long prided themselves on their quiet routines and well-manicured lawns. Marcus Hale, the groom, had chosen this very community for his wedding to his fiancée, Elena Rivera, precisely because it represented the stability and progress he had worked tirelessly to foster as the mayor of Eldridge City. Marcus, a 45-year-old trailblazer who had risen from humble beginnings in the city's South Side to become its first black mayor 4 years earlier, saw the event as a personal milestone. He had poured his heart into revitalizing Eldridge, pushing for affordable housing initiatives, community policing reforms, and economic development programs that bridged divides. Elena, a 42-year-old school principal with a sharp mind and unwavering optimism, complemented him perfectly. Their relationship had blossomed over shared community service events, and now, with over 200 guests gathered in the backyard of their newly purchased home, the day promised to be one of unbridled joy. As the ceremony concluded under a canopy of blooming magnolias, the celebration kicked into high gear. Music from a live band filled the air, soulful rhythms mixed with contemporary hits that had everyone on their feet. Laughter echoed as relatives swapped stories, children dashed between tables laden with barbecue ribs, collard greens, and Elena's famous sweet potato pie. Marcus, beaming in his tailored black tuxedo, raised a glass during the toasts, thanking his supporters who had traveled from across the state. "This isn't just about Elena and me," he said, his voice steady and resonant. "It's about all of us coming together, building a future where every family in Eldridge feels at home." The crowd erupted in applause, the energy palpable as the DJ transitioned to a upbeat track that got even the elders swaying. Across the fence, in the adjoining property, lived Karen Whitaker, a 58-year-old retiree who had called Willow Creek home for over 2 decades. Karen had always been vocal about maintaining the neighborhood's character, often organizing block watches and petitioning against what she deemed disruptive changes. She had viewed the Hales' recent move-in with a mix of curiosity and suspicion, especially after learning about Marcus's prominent role. On this particular day, as the sounds of celebration wafted over, Karen found herself increasingly irritated. She paced her kitchen, glancing at the clock. It was just past 3 p.m., and the music seemed to grow louder with each passing minute. "This is outrageous," she muttered to herself, dialing her husband, who was out golfing. "They're turning our peaceful street into some kind of block party. I can't even hear my own thoughts." By 4:15 p.m., Karen's patience had worn thin. She stepped onto her porch, arms crossed, staring at the Hale property where colorful balloons bobbed in the breeze and guests mingled freely. The laughter and bass from the speakers felt like an invasion to her. Without a second thought, she retreated inside and picked up her phone, pressing the emergency line. "Yes, hello? This is Karen Whitaker at 142 Oakwood Lane," she said, her voice laced with urgency. "There's a large gathering next door. It's disruptive, and I believe it's unauthorized. The noise is excessive, and there are so many people. It looks chaotic. Please send someone to check it out." The dispatcher assured her that officers would be dispatched promptly, noting the complaint as a potential noise violation and public disturbance. Meanwhile, back at the wedding, Marcus and Elena were deep into their first dance as husband and wife. The band played a slow, romantic melody, and Marcus whispered to Elena, "From this day forward, we're unstoppable." She smiled, her eyes glistening with tears of happiness. Their closest friends and family surrounded them, snapping photos and cheering softly. Unbeknownst to them, 2 police cruisers were en route, sirens silent, but lights flashing as they navigated the suburban streets. Officer Jamal Torres, a 32-year-old veteran with the Eldridge PD, was in the lead vehicle alongside his partner, Officer Lisa Chen, 28, who had joined the force just 2 years prior. They had been briefed on the call, a noise complaint from a residential area, possibly escalating to a larger issue. "Sounds like a party gone wrong," Torres remarked as they pulled up to the block. "Let's keep it calm. Weddings can get rowdy." The officers parked at the curb and approached the Hale property's open gate. The scene before them was vibrant, guests in elegant attire chatting animatedly, tables covered in white linens, and the unmistakable aroma of grilled foods wafting through the air. Torres cleared his throat and called out, "Excuse me, we're responding to a noise complaint. Is the homeowner here?" Heads turned, and a brief hush fell over the crowd. One of Marcus's brothers, Tyrone, stepped forward politely. "Officers, this is a private wedding. My brother's the homeowner, Mayor Hale. Everything's permitted. We have all the approvals." Chin raised an eyebrow, exchanging a glance with Torres. "Mayor Hale? As in the mayor?" Tyrone nodded, gesturing toward the dance floor where Marcus was now mingling with guests. Torres and Chin pushed through the gathering, their badges glinting in the sunlight. As they reached the center of the yard, Marcus turned, his expression shifting from surprise to recognition. "Officers," he said evenly, extending a hand. "I'm Marcus Hale. What's this about?" Chen's eyes widened as she shook his hand, her mind racing. She had voted for him in the last election and even attended one of his town halls. Torres, equally stunned, stammered, "Mr. Mayor, sir, we're here on a noise complaint from the neighbor. We didn't realize." The revelation hung in the air like a thunderclap. Guests murmured among themselves, some pulling out phones to capture the moment. Elena joined Marcus's side, her arm linking with his. "Is there a problem?" she asked calmly. Karen, watching from her window, saw the officers enter and felt a surge of vindication. She stepped outside, approaching the fence with purpose. "Officers, thank goodness you're here. This has been going on for hours. It's not right for a quiet neighborhood like this." Torres turned toward her, his face a mask of professionalism tinged with discomfort. "Ma'am, we've spoken with the homeowner. This is a permitted event, a wedding." Karen blinked, her confidence faltering. "Permitted? But the noise, and all these people. It's mostly, well, you know." She trailed off, aware of the eyes on her. Marcus, overhearing, stepped closer to the fence. "Mrs. Whitaker, I believe. We've met at the neighborhood association. This is my wedding day. I assure you, we've followed all regulations." The officers now found themselves in an awkward triad, mediating between the complainant and the very authority figure they served. Chun radioed back to dispatch, confirming the details. The event permit was indeed on file at City Hall, approved weeks in advance. Torres addressed Karen directly. "Ma'am, everything checks out. We'll need to ask you not to make unfounded calls in the future." Karen's face flushed red. "Unfounded? I was just concerned for the community." Marcus, ever the diplomat, interjected. "Karen, I understand your concerns. Noise can be subjective. Perhaps we can discuss this after the event, find a way to make sure everyone feels comfortable." But the damage was done. Whispers spread through the wedding guests about the racial undertones, the irony of a black mayor being targeted in his own home. As the officers prepared to leave, apologizing profusely to Marcus, the story began to leak out. A guest posted a quick video on social media, captioning it, "Neighbor calls cops on black wedding. Turns out Groom is the mayor. #Eldridge wedding drama." Within minutes, it went viral, amassing thousands of views. Local news outlets picked it up by evening, with reporters scrambling to the scene. Marcus and Elena, though shaken, decided to address it head-on. During the reception's cake-cutting, Marcus took the microphone. "Today was supposed to be about love and unity," he said, his voice firm. "But it reminds us that we still have work to do. Let's turn this into a teachable moment for our community." The crowd cheered, but Elena pulled him aside later. "Are you okay with this blowing up?" she asked. "We'll handle it together," he replied. Back at the station, Torres and Chin debriefed with their sergeant. "You won't believe who we interrupted," Torres said. The sergeant chuckled in disbelief. "The mayor? That's a first." Word spread quickly through the department, with officers joking about the royal disturbance call. But beneath the humor lay a serious undercurrent. This wasn't just a mix-up. It highlighted persistent biases in everyday interactions. Karen, meanwhile, retreated to her home, fielding calls from curious neighbors. "I didn't know it was the mayor," she insisted to one friend. "I just wanted quiet." Yet, as the evening wore on, she couldn't shake the growing realization that her actions had crossed a line. The next morning, Sunday, the story dominated local headlines. The Eldridge Gazette ran a front-page article. Neighbor's 911 call disrupts mayor's wedding. Officers stunned by identity. Reporters interviewed attendees, who described the shock and subsequent laughter that lightened the mood. One guest, Marcus's longtime friend and campaign manager, Derek Lawson, told the press, "Marcus handled it with grace, as always. But it's a wake-up call. Even leaders aren't immune to prejudice." Elena echoed this in a statement released through City Hall. "We're grateful for the quick resolution, but events like this underscore the need for ongoing dialogue about race and community relations." Marcus, back at his mayoral duties by Monday, called a press conference at City Hall. Flanked by Elena and key advisors, he addressed the media. "What happened Saturday was unfortunate, but not unexpected," he stated. "As mayor, I've advocated for policies that promote inclusivity, like our recent community outreach programs. This incident shows why those efforts are crucial. I hold no grudge against Mrs. Whitaker. Instead, I invite her to join us in building bridges." The room buzzed with questions. "Do you plan to press charges?" one reporter asked. "No," Marcus replied. "Education over escalation." Behind the scenes, he met with Police Chief Ramirez, discussing training enhancements on bias recognition. "We need to ensure our officers are prepared for these nuances," the chief agreed. Karen, facing backlash, issued a public apology via a letter to the editor in the Gazette. "I regret my hasty call and any offense caused," she wrote. "I was unaware of the full context and am committed to learning from this." Neighbors rallied around her in some circles, arguing it was a simple misunderstanding, while others, including several Black families in Willow Creek, organized a meeting to discuss racial dynamics. "This isn't isolated," said one resident, Angela Brooks. "We've felt unwelcomed for years." As weeks passed, the event catalyzed change. Marcus launched the Unity in the Neighborhood initiative, funding workshops on cultural sensitivity and noise ordinance clarifications. Elena, drawing from her educational background, volunteered to lead sessions at local schools. The wedding, far from being overshadowed, became a symbol of resilience. Guests who attended shared stories online, turning the narrative from controversy to inspiration. "It was the best wedding ever, cops and all," one posted. Marcus reflected on it during a private dinner with Elena months later. "That day tested us, but it strengthened our resolve," he said. She nodded. "And look at the good that's come from it." Indeed, Eldridge saw a surge in community engagement, with participation in city programs up 30%. The cops, Torres and Chun, even received commendations for their professional handling, with Torres noting, "It was a reminder that anyone can be on the other side of that call."